Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Thinkpui Podcast. If you haven't seen our previous episodes, why have you not? You can check our YouTube and our Spotify. It's Thinkpui Studios, and be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. And follow our Instagram. It's Thinkpui Studios, where we post updates about our uploads, and we share all our clips there.
Don't
Uh,
turn don't
okay.
turn on notifications. We post like once a month.
Okay, so for this episode, we don't have a special guest, as you can see, but we did have a mini Q&A we posted a Q&A on our Instagram, and we asked everyone to ask us questions. So we'll be going through our questions, and yeah, so should we
Mm,
start?
uh, it was it's less of Q&A, more like we asked our friends and our audience, what topic they would like to they would like to have us talk about regarding any topic. So we took some suggestions on our Instagram handles, and there were very many submissions that we got and very interesting ones as well. So we're gonna talk about it. The topics. I forgot how to. I
Okay,
forgot how to
talk about the
podcast.
topic. Talk about our topics. Okay, Vanla.
That
Shall we?
one constant you keep
Okay,
constant.
Yes.
okay,
From that's actually one of the
I
questions.
think should we start with that?
Yes,
Sure.
from our last podcast. What's that
Okay,
one constant thing that we keep constant? That's what Vanhan said. So we might as well just dive into that. Vanha, do you want to
Funnily enough, that question actually got an answer, though that's very weirdly phrased question.
start?
So that one constant we keep constant. Personally, I don't know if there are any constants that I keep. I just want to learn more and be better, and that's very
Mhm.
cliche of me to say. Be better.
But
So
it's
it's
true.
just it's an interview question, and I
We got you off
but
guard
you're
right
the
there.
one who put the question. You're the one who put the question out there in the universe. The one
What's
constant thing that you keep constant.
okay. Can you guys uh, tell us
Okay,
you
what?
can start.
Yeah, I'll think about it. Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir.
should I
Please give me
start?
time. It's a
I kind of,
Yeah.
difficult question. It's a difficult question.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have an answer for it, but it's the no regrets. The Scotty P. Thank you for your no regrets tattoo, but it's really dumb. But uh, the fact that like I always tell this to myself rather than regretting the things that I did do, I don't want to regret the things that I could
Didn't.
have done.
Do you want to start over?
Okay, yeah, wait, I'll start over. Okay, so my one constant thing that I keep constant is no
By the way,
regrets.
it's
Thank you,
it's it's
Scotty
it's
P.
wrong English. Do not use that one constant we keep constant. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Louis.
Yeah, so it's No Regrets by Mr. Scotty P from We're the Millers. Um, I keep on telling myself that rather than regretting the things that I didn't do, I don't want to regret the things that I had the chance to do and I didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be something really simple, like maybe, oh, go on that vacation. Like you keep on telling yourself, like I can't save up, I don't have time. Like more than regretting going for that vacation, I'll regret not going. Get it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, even and also diving deep and analyzing the tattoo, the fact that it says regrets, like, okay, he did get it wrong, but at least he did it, like,
The spirit was
bro,
there.
like,
It's
yeah, the
quite
spirit,
poetic.
Mm-hmm.
it's poetic
That
without
Yes.
even realizing it. So, yes,
we're
guys,
full of
no regrets.
cliches, but we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But it is what it
guys, no
is.
regrets. No
Scotty
regrets.
P is
No.
our modern day Shakespeare for us. So We have
Yeah, you know what I'm
nothing.
saying?
No, I'm saying.
Not even a single letter. Nope. I think
So what about you
for
guys?
I'm still thinking. Can you please
okay.
take over?
I think it's kind of similar to Louis, and it's also a little similar to where Vandal was going, I think, where he likes to keep progress as his main goal constantly. That you should move ahead. There's no going back at this point. That up is the only way, or moving forward is the only option. And similarly, it's also what Louis said is no regrets, and something along the same lines as for me is I keep telling myself dekh lenge, which roughly translates to we'll see or let's see, and you just go ahead with it. And if it doesn't work out for you, it doesn't work out. But if it works out for you, that's great too. But at the same time, I'm keeping in mind progress, and I'm keeping in mind not regretting the decisions. So any decision I make it's just I make sure that I feel good while doing it intuitively, and this is what I want to do, and I really want to
Mm.
go ahead with it. I think that's one thing, to put it simply.
Yeah.
There was this one quote I saw. It was by Casey Neistat. It said,
Hmm.
"The biggest risk in life, you something along the lines of the the riskiest thing you can do in life is not take any risks or something like that." Do you
Yeah,
remember the
Mm,
quote?
something like that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So just to take risks, right? I'm not. I'm. You probably don't know me for taking risks. Maybe
Yeah, you
maybe
don't even take
I
risks in Ludo. Like in Ludo, you
Ludo
play
is
it
a
so
strategic
safe.
game. Ludo is a strategic game. There's no risk involved. It's a strategic game.
Okay,
Don't bring Ludo into this.
okay.
Okay.
I'm the undisputed Ludo god. And so yeah,
Mm.
back
Unless
to
unless I'm playing.
no, Joy cheats in Ludo.
How can you
She
cheat
uses
Oh, you
in
hacks.
can't
Ludo?
cheat.
She uses hacks. Okay, we're digressing.
Okay. Yes.
Okay,
She cheats. So
okay.
the risk, when we think of risks in life in general, we think of huge risks like, okay, you're going to start a business, there's huge investment involved, that's a huge risk. But I feel like risk can be even in a smaller scale, like daily. And I think to be able to take big risks, you need to get used to just doing stuff in general, like all the smaller things, just like even
Mm.
um being waking up early, not a risk, but it's discipline,
Yeah.
let's say.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
choice that you can make.
There
yeah.
are decisions you take
And
every day, and I think that builds up to a momentum. So the small decisions you
Yeah.
take, eventually you train yourself.
choices
Yeah.
choices and risk like come hand in hand, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
decide to do one thing, it's a risk of losing out on something else. So there's an opportunity cost to um what you're doing, like Louis said,
Mm-hmm.
the opportunities that you don't take are the opportunity cost. Like, do you want to sleep
Yeah.
an extra hour or attend the class? So all the smallest um things that you don't do are also risks, and depending on that, you get used to taking risk and bigger risks.
Mm-hmm.
And like like that, I want to take more risks, and I have been taking more risks. And
Okay.
risk is risk. That's the one constant thing I would like to keep constant. Take risks.
Okay.
No, Vanla, you don't take risks. You
Except
take
on
risks.
Ludo. Except on Ludo, bro. I think I have a minor list. Risks.
We take risks. No regrets while taking risks.
Okay, I think we should move on to other questions before we talk about this for too long.
They're not questions. They're
So we have
suggestions. They're suggestions.
suggestions. Sorry, suggestions.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to
Number.
leave.
Okay.
This is bullying.
Suggestions. Okay, sorry. That was for me. Okay. Okay, so there were a group of questions, like a whole suggestions that talked to they were one is life in Delhi as a person who is not from Delhi, childhood memories, and yeah, that's and our life experiences. We kind of talked about it on our first episode that
Mm.
how all of us grew up in Delhi and how Mizoram or Aizawl didn't feel like home for us. And I think there are a lot of people who can relate to that. And for me, like right now I'm in Aizawl, like I came back here like last month and I'll be here for maybe in 2, 3 months. And
You're gonna be
there's
there for
like
3 months?
I
It's
don't
been
know. I'm
months
here
though.
for some time. It's been a
Okay.
month already. I'm gonna be
Okay.
I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. And that's just how I've associated my stay here as visiting. It's people when they people talk about coming to Aizawl, they're like, oh, I'm going back home. Even though I do say, oh, kahodon, which translates to I'm going home, it doesn't feel like home to me. I feel like I'm visiting.
Hmm.
And also like since my grandparents are getting old and I'm finishing college and people are asking me, what are you going to do? Will you stay in Delhi? Will you come to Aizawl? And there are people who ask me, oh, do you want to stay here? Do you want to, help with the family business or something? But I'm like, I can't imagine my life here because one,
Mm.
I've just been here. And also, I feel like, it's been there ever since I was a kid. Like, I remember I used to go to the Mizo church here. Like, no offense, it's great, but
Hey,
I used
hey,
to go to
hey.
the Mizo
No,
church
no,
here.
no, no, no controversial stuff. Remember that.
It's not going to be controversial. It's just a
Then why'd
personal
you say no
experience.
offense, man?
Mm, To the
Go ahead.
people who might have known me then,
Mm.
I felt like I used to go to church with my cousins, and over there they have a Sunday school system where like everyone knows each other, everyone's in a specific class, and I felt so not included in that class, and I used to dread Sundays like throughout the whole week because it would be leading up to that uncomfortable situation where I felt like a fish out of water. And I didn't fit in. Like I didn't feel like I fit into this crowd over here, to the
Mm.
society here.
Hmm.
And to imagine like settling here is something that I don't even want to think about.
Yeah, for the people who don't know, the three of us have been born and brought up in Delhi,
Well,
and
I wasn't
we.
born here.
Were you born in Bihar?
No, I was born in Aizawl. I was born in
Technically, even
Aizawl.
I was born in Aizawl.
Yeah,
I
but
was born
brought
in
up.
Delhi, RML
Brought,
Hospital. Most of the culture clash that has been a part of our lives in the Delhi Mizoram
mm,
thing
mm-hmm,
is, I think it's mostly with food and our familiarity with the language. And food is number one because when you
Yeah.
go home. See, I say when we go home back in Aizawl, we're
mm,
invited for dinners to um, our family friends' places because we are not in Mizoram most of the time. So when we go for
It's
dinners,
a yeah. I feel like, inviting people for dinner is a way of, like hospitality, and it's like people think it's a thing that people like really
yeah, it's a
enjoy
community
and
thing.
look forward to. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so when you go for these dinners, it becomes a bit intlashung,
Mm,
What do you say? It becomes a bit
You feel guilty, kind of,
guilt.
I don't know, guilt. You can
there is
say
another
guilt,
word for it.
kind
I've
of hold back.
Yes, it's like
Googling right now.
there is a specific word for it. I've asked my parents this so many times.
Respectfully,
Yeah,
respectfully feeling guilty. That's
yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
the best way we can
respectfully feeling
translate it right now.
guilty
Hmm.
because,
And
like we said, we were born with the bindis and the chicken tikkas, and we're not used to the
yeah.
miso cuisine that much.
Mm-hmm. It's there.
I'm okay with it. I feel like the older I get, the more my palate starts to adjust to it. And if I'm here for a long time, my palate usually just adjusts. But
Mm.
there are some foods that I can't eat. Mm, But yeah.
It's an acquired taste, I would
Mhm.
say. And there's a reason that we can't market or commercialize our food much because it is, again, an acquired taste. And that food is one of the cultural clashes that we face. And
Yeah.
language we
Language. Of
understand,
course, or
we don't get lost, but like Shudh Hindi, there are some chong upa. Um,
phrases,
yeah,
phrases,
yeah.
phrases
Just
you could
like
say.
Shudh Hindi, there is chong upa in our language, and those are some of the things that we can't understand. And we're trying to
Like,
understand some chong upa, like
mhm.
Mhm.
in la value, raidila, um,
That's
ali.
slang. It's not Chong Upa, that's
that
slang.
was a
We
joke. That was a joke.
we would know like the common terms, like the common day, common man language, but when it comes to really trying to, for example, give a speech, if we were to give a speech in either Hindi or in Mizo, it would be quite difficult for us. And
Uh,
I think Mizo
Yeah.
is also,
Or
yeah, Mizo is also quite
it's a
that
very
one of those languages.
phonetical
Yeah,
language. So
yeah.
even so it's very easy to mispronounce words.
Mm-hmm.
So and sometimes I find myself mispronouncing words and my brain just like oh shit. It goes like oh shit, what did I just say?
Yeah.
And also I find it hard to have like a deep conversation in Mizo.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we talk or when we have a deep conversation or when we're talking about maybe something serious like politics or something or maybe
feelings.
anything feelings, um
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
find myself expressing myself better in English. I do add like a few Mizo words here and there because that's how I talk on a day-to-day basis, like in Mizo and English, with like mainly English with Mizo words here and there. But yeah, like if I were to like suppose with my grandparents have a deep conversation about something, I can't have that conversation is something that I kind of regret and I wish I could to be able to have a deep conversation in Mizo with like my relatives or yeah.
Well, what about you guys? Culture clash is quite big, a big word.
Mm-hmm.
So there has been some forms of cultural clash, not too major. And again, like we were born and brought up in Delhi, and we've had quite a few childhood memories in
Yeah.
Delhi, being born and brought up. I remember a few with Louis as well.
We
I
grew up together, like we were literally
so chaddi buddies.
together, teddy buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have memories because I came back to Isil very often. I think I'm 21, and I feel like for the like my memory gives me to like I'm 8. I feel like every summer I went home. Only last year I didn't go home. I didn't go home because of COVID, couldn't travel. But yeah, I come back to Aizawl every year, so I have quite a lot of memories in both childhood memories in both Delhi and Aizawl. But like I said before, like my memories of Aizawl is not of living here, but of like visitation, like
Mm-hmm.
visiting our family here. And like we do have friends here, but I feel like
We spend majority of our
like
lives back in
yeah,
Delhi and
Delhi.
back in yeah, back in
I
Delhi. So we grew up together in that way, and now we're heading on to our 20s all together. So it's exciting times
I
ahead.
I remember Delhi since the metro construction, like the annoying road constructions.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we all benefited from the metro constructions because now I can go to college directly. But
Yeah.
I remember Delhi since those days when the all of Ring Road and all of the main roads were like full of construction. And even before pollution, I knew pre-pollution Delhi. Good times. I
There weren't
remember.
malls yet either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember going to the opening of the DLF Promenade Mall,
Yeah.
and I went with Louis. I remember.
yeah.
We,
I remember
it
when they
was.
were making, and we're like, what are they gonna make here? It's just a forest. What are they
Mm-hmm.
gonna make here? And they're like, it's gonna be a huge mall. I'm like, oh wow. And I was
I
like, oh,
remember,
really
I
happy
think I
to
was like
see it.
10 or 12 years old when
Mm-hmm.
we went to the DLF Promenade Mall, our family and Louise and Joy's family. And between the Ambience Mall and uh, DLF Promenade Mall, there was this smoke bar, and adults were doing hookah, the the hookah thing. And
Yeah.
I remember being sad about not being able to do hookah at age 10 or 12 because my parents wouldn't let me. I'm like, that looks cool. I want to do hookah, and they didn't let me. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
it, yeah, those were that
Yeah.
was a very vivid. That's
Mm-hmm.
a vivid memory.
I think it's really sweet how we're all Mizos and then we just grew up together eventually, especially during our teen years. And we sort of mediated through different cultures, different people from different community, and we just sort of use all three languages to talk to each other at this point. I mean, there are
Mhm.
times when our parents are like, "How about you try to speak or just have a conversation in just Mizo? Can you do that?" And then all of us fail because, and eventually I realized that sometimes in one sentence we would add all the three
All
languages, like
three.
we would all
Mm.
mix all
Yeah.
three languages, Hindi, English, and Mizo together, and that's how we speak. So it's kind of interesting though, and now we're heading on
Yeah,
to our
you forget words sometimes. Like sometimes when you're talking to the Uber guy, you speak in Hindi, and then there's that one English word. And same with
exactly.
Mizo. When you're speaking in Mizo, there's that one um,
Yeah.
English word, and when you're
Hmm.
speaking in English, there's that one Mizo word that's not there in the English vocabulary.
Yeah.
So
Which just happened right now.
20,
Which just happened right now too. We were like, how do you say intashung in English?
yeah,
And we just we just couldn't. So
Couldn't
live example.
yeah.
translate it.
Yes. But yeah, we grew up
uh,
together and we eventually are now all heading to our 20s. And I think it's sweet how we're still all friends and we're still continuing to do stuff together. I remember we would participate in Delhi Mizokut, which were like the Mizokut, their own function. They'd have their own festival. And we would dance and sing and do all that when we were young.
we
And
would play
then,
tug of war. Louis would always be in the
Yeah.
opposing team, and our team would always lose because
Yeah.
Louis
Like
is a cheat
because
code in tug of war.
okay, the thing was, I hit my growth spurt before all of you, so I was bigger than all of you.
I was
So
tiny.
I was
mm,
I was 13 or 12, and they made me participate in the adult tug of war because they're like, you look strong because you're big. So yeah.
mm,
And when I took part in the kids tug of war and eating competition, I was like, everyone was just competing for seconds because they're like, okay, Louis
Mhm.
taking part, no one's gonna win. Let's see
mm.
who's no one's gonna come first. He's gonna come first. Let's compete for second
I
place.
used to get so salty losing to Louis. I would not talk to her for like the rest of the day sometimes. But uh, that's just
Mm,
now 21 years in Delhi. We're going into our 20s, like many of you. And there was a suggestion that we received, anxious 20s. It's
mm,
quite vague,
Which
but
is
there's a lot to talk about in the anxious 20s, right? Because
yeah.
you start thinking about your careers,
Mm-hmm.
you start,
mm,
getting into the real life, the real world where things get difficult. You have to think about your own finances, start being financially responsible. I've been financially responsible. How about you guys?
I haven't, so
I think not me. Lord
no
alone,
way.
look at me. And also, I think for us, especially right now, for the three of us, is because it's even more anxious right now, is because we're all graduating this year. Like Joy's graduating from her master's, and Vala and I are graduating from our
Bachelors?
bachelor's. And everyone's been asking me, what are you gonna do? Like it's it's a question that which we saw coming eventually, but the moment like it's here, we don't know what to say. Like
Mm,
I I always thought that I thought that I always knew what I wanted to do, with my life, like after college. I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but
Mm.
then now that the time has come for me to make my decision, I it's a huge question mark in my mind also.
Yeah.
But all I know is, uh, you don't have to worry about me. I'm gonna figure myself out. It's just how I
Personal,
go with about my life.
pers- personal
No
opinion.
regrets. Just go.
20s is not that age to be anxious.
Mhm.
Like I said, take risks.
I
And
mean, also because I think we're quite privileged to not be that level of anxious in some ways.
yes,
Mm, true.
100%.
True.
Yeah.
True. Very
But
true.
speaking in general,
Mm-hmm.
people like to think a lot about, okay, what am I
Yeah.
going to do? But
Mm-hmm.
one thing you realize is even from the transition from school to college, that there was that similar anxiety of what college,
Yeah.
what subject. But as we realize,
Mm.
as we go through those stages, you figure it out one by one, and
Mm.
now we're here. So I think instead of being anxious about it, we can just let
Yeah.
time tell,
Yeah.
and
Make the
just
most of it and no regrets and
mm,
yeah, live in the moment kind of. I've also
live
made a
in the
list.
moment, Vanda. Live in the moment.
I've
Just
also
for
made a
context,
list. Just for
what's the
context,
list?
yeah, please.
Nope. That's for later.
Okay,
Live in the
fine.
Oh, okay.
moment.
I think for my 20s, I decided that I'm going to do things I've never done and I've always wanted to. And I decided on that quite early on. I think I was still in college, probably. So now I have a list and I've written just like 20s on top of it and things that I've done for the first time. So it could be stuff like going scuba diving, going to a concert, living alone, traveling with friends. So it's like all there.
Yeah.
So as much as
Smoking
20s
weed in
are, yeah.
Amsterdam.
No,
By the way,
not
Joy
me.
is legal, and Amsterdam,
It's
and
legal.
it's legal. So,
I
Did
mean,
she
I
do it?
know
Did she not do it? We don't know.
I can't do
mhm.
it. I can't do it. I try, but I just smoke is something I can't do. And I think that's
I'm
okay
not.
for my parents to know too. They know they've asked me. And in fact, a lot of people ask me if I chose to go to Netherlands because weed is legal. And I was like, that is the last thing on my mind because I don't like taking smoking, so that's not it. But I think everybody thinks I chose Netherlands so that I could do drugs and weed and
I
stuff.
think it's a fair point for them to think. So,
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
I mean they do market themselves on that the most. So um
Mm.
I don't blame them, but that's not it. That's the last
you
place I
you
want
should
to
try it
be.
though. Personal suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, Arlo.
but
Okay.
There was a question.
even
Okay.
There was a question asking how Joy got
it
into her
was a
current
suggestion,
university.
not a
Mm.
question.
No, but this
It's a
one's a
question. It's like
question.
it's
Oh, it
It
was a
literally
question.
says how Boss Joy got
yeah.
into her university. I just went for it.
Got in. I
I just
just
got
got
in.
in.
She said no regrets, take risks,
Yeah.
Okay,
apply,
okay, we're
and
overusing no
hope for the
regrets
best.
like the constant thing again. Um,
And also, when you're talking about your list, you talked about traveling with friends. And
Mhm.
since our first episode, like everyone's been asking us, please talk about your Bali trip.
Yeah.
And I feel like that deserves a whole episode, like we said. I think
yeah,
we've
we
mentioned
can
it
talk
Yes.
before.
about a
Like it
few
deserves,
things. We can talk about
and I think we can
how,
talk about traveling with friends, like what you should think about, what should,
Mhm.
yeah,
one
so
thing that we tell everyone is when you travel with your friends, especially if you're going abroad, please take health insurance, okay?
take health
Ask Mario's
Any
insurance.
niece.
kind of insur take travel insurance with you.
No, take all the insurances you can because um before our Bali trip, last minute we were like, okay, should we do health insurance? But I think it was
We're
Joy.
like,
Joy was like,
no,
no, we won't get hurt. Nothing will happen. And
It wasn't
something
me.
happened.
I didn't
Something
it
say
was
that.
happened.
fine.
All of us were like, okay, all of us. It wasn't me who said nothing's gonna happen. It was all of us who
Yeah.
said, okay, whatever. And we forgot about it eventually.
Okay. And if you want to know what
And
happened, check Your Boss Joy vlogs. It's
Day 7. That was the last day in
day
Bali.
7. Watch
You'll know
it.
what happened.
um,
You'll know why we're
so
talking about health insurance.
yeah, so like taking
Mm.
risks. I hate that word. So taking risks like that, like I mentioned before, in Bali, I have never ridden a scooty or a scooter.
Mm.
And sorry, mom and dad, I decided to take the risk.
Mhm.
So I was like, let's do it full send. And I remember riding the scooty on the pavement accidentally. I almost hit a car, but again, take risks. I almost drowned while scuba diving
Feel like we're
because my
gonna.
oxygen wasn't coming out properly. I hurt my knee. I didn't hurt my knee. Please go watch Joy vlogs and find out what happened. Day 7
Mm.
Bali.
They asked me, who's asthmatic? I'm like, me. Are you going to scuba dive? Yeah. First one to, I was like, okay. The most excited. Because I was like, you know what? I'm never going to get a scuba dive ever again.
Mm.
Not going to let this asthmatic lungs get the best of me.
Mhm.
And I did it.
Yes.
I
And the
and I
most
get
important,
yeah, I get seasick too,
go
so
ahead, Joy.
sorry.
Yeah.
I I
Joy
get
puked, I
seasick.
think.
Yeah.
Joy puked.
Once I was
Um,
Yeah.
uh, out, I was like, "Ugh." So
Mm.
we all had our problems, but we don't regret any of it.
So while planning
Yeah.
these trips, the most common problem is no, planning, but never going.
Mm.
And that happens a lot. Like there's an ongoing joke about 12th grade boards ending and then Goa, but Goa not actually happening. So the
Yeah.
thing with planning these trips is you need to realize that not everyone is going to have that perfect time to go. Like
Yeah.
not everything is going to be,
Mm-hmm.
good, like a good time for everyone. So people have to compromise to make that trip happen. And many of us did compromise. Some um, postponed their trip back home. Some took work leaves. And again, you have to compromise in order to make such trips happen.
Some of us postponed their CA exam.
Mhm. Shout out.
Some of us some of us were doing our admissions in Bali.
Yes, that's how Joy got into her college, doing her admissions while traveling.
Was on the phone call. I was like, yes, yes. So I have to submit this one, and then yeah, that's how we got in. Funny
Take
thing
risks.
about yeah, take risks, but I think we should also put a disclaimer on this thing before people
Mm.
take too
Take
much risks.
risks, but
They
Be
must
careful.
but make sure you have
smart
insurance.
risks.
Make sure you have insurance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Take smart risks, you know.
Yes,
That makes
Mm.
sense.
let's put it that
Six
way.
stitches.
Uh,
All that was 2019, and I think personally it was the best year for me. 2019, I made so many memories, and I had such a great time. And then we dived into 2020, which wasn't the best year for all of us, but we made it through. What do you guys think?
2020 review.
so,
Yes.
see, 2019 was like, okay, like half of it was great, the other half not so great. So I was like, okay, in 2020, I'm gonna, reform myself. I'm gonna start working out more. I'm gonna eat healthy. And
Mhm.
then, I was like, I'm gonna make, work on my self-esteem and mental health. I was like, okay, I'm ready to be a good Louis, like a reformed Louis. But then 2020 hit, and
Yeah.
it was it was
Started
something
out.
that I needed.
Mm,
I feel like I needed
Mm,
2020 because
mm,
it was a pause from everything. Like after going through 2019, I was, going through a lot of self-esteem issues.
quite a long pause, I tell you.
yes, whole year,
Yeah,
but
and then it made me, it was a pause that I needed, but not that long though. But it gave me a lot of time to reflect, and also like it was a good and a bad thing. Like during 2020 is when we also decided to start
Honey,
podcast.
honey.
yeah.
Mm.
It
That's right.
so it was a
Uh,
good and a bad thing for me personally, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
2020
I know
was,
I'm talking from a very privileged side of
yeah,
Yeah.
view, like, a
like
point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But
we're,
yeah,
yeah,
we're very
like,
fortunate that
Yeah.
it
we
didn't
didn't have to
affect us
think
that
about our
badly.
food, we didn't have to think about finances, and we're just in that position. So
Yeah.
again, most of the talking we're doing is that we're speaking for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and but at the same
Yeah.
time we realize that it has been a tough year.
Yeah.
But 2020 Jan, Feb, March, we it was normal. COVID hadn't reached Delhi or in India yet. I
Yeah.
think it reached Kerala around March, but
Yeah.
2020 it started amazing because I met some people. I got some people into my life, like some specific
Yeah.
persons,
You're
Mm, mm,
and very important people.
mhm.
Uh, and exams were closing in, but
Yeah.
then COVID struck, and they're like,
Mhm.
what do we do now? So
Yeah.
what DU did was take assignments, do them, we'll give you your final GPA. And to be
I
honest,
did
that was,
so well.
yeah, I did. It was the best semester ever. And there wasn't much in 2020. Most of the good things or like the
Mm,
valuable and memorable things that happened in 2020 was towards the end, like creating this podcast
mm,
and seeing the trends of entrepreneurship,
yeah.
being able to talk to people and catch up with people online that you
Mhm.
haven't spoken to before, etc.
Mm,
So not much to talk about 2020. Nothing too big
yeah.
happened. I think everyone was at home having family time,
Yeah.
and
There are good times, there are
oh,
bad times.
yeah,
But mine, I think
Yeah.
it was a bit opposite to what you said, Fazal, because it started out pretty okay, and then it kind of ended in a very like a negative way, but it was also like Louis said, we needed to learn a few things, I guess. So I remember beginning of 2020, everything was still normal, and it was so exciting for all of us because it was literally the end of a decade and starting of a new one. So even I wanted to be like up there, and it just started out pretty okay, but then towards the end, I think I tried to do so much, and obviously nothing was working out. And then there are quite a few reflective moments that you had, like about certain things that you have to let go and certain things that you learned on the way. But mine was a bit opposite. Mine was opposite to Vanda's experience. I feel it started off great, but it ended a bit like eh. But then again, 2020 was right around the corner by the time 2020 ended. So I was like, okay, time for a new start, new change. So it worked out
I
in a
think
way.
2021 is going pretty well for me, you know? Like
Exactly.
it
It's
was not
not
what
bad.
what I wanted. Yeah, what I wanted from 2020, I'm
Mm,
kind of getting it now slowly. I hope nothing happens, but
mm.
touch wood, touch wood. I'm
Touch wood.
touching wood. I'm
touch
touching
wood.
wood.
It's too soon to say, but like, you know, what I wanted out of 2020, I'm getting it in 2021 right
Yeah,
now. Like,
Yes. Hmm.
it's like
and and the
pause,
and the
fast forward.
self-reflecting that I did the previous year from the pause, from the break, I feel like with that knowledge, with that self-reflection that I was able to do, I
Refraction,
now
refraction.
now with that, you know, experience, now what what I had to change in the way I did things, I'm applying it now. I think that's the reason why everything is going good for me, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm.
So yeah, but it's too soon to say, but you know, let's all hope
Mm.
Yeah,
for the best. Then.
Hmm.
2 months, almost, yeah, almost 2 months into 2021. Things have
Hmm.
been going great. The Delhi's looking normal. Things are going back to normal. Schools are
Hmm.
almost opening. Some schools have opened. Churches are opening,
Yeah.
and vaccines are out there. Though the amount of vaccines are a bit limited, but we're
Hmm.
getting there, and it's an optimistic start to 2021.
Yeah.
For us personally, for me, I started an internship, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still I'm still working in the internship right now.
Yeah.
And I'm planning to, work more, experience more,
Mm.
and learn more. Yeah,
Yeah.
and read books.
Oh.
It's very important to read books.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the word you use, like optimistic, is like such a good like description for like how I want to
Mm.
start off this year. Like to be optimistic, you know. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like last year I was when I was starting to like, say that, oh, I'm gonna do this from now on. I was just, trying to go there. I was just like, I have to do it or else,
Mm.
what's wrong with me. Now it's just, oh, let me do it. Let's see what happens. Like being
Yeah.
optimistic.
Yeah. It's also, I
Mhm.
think last year, uh, my focus went very into like micromanaging, like before my plans were all like macro in the bigger picture. I would see like this is what I want to achieve, this is the goal, this is the destination that I want to reach. But I think because of last year when everything came to a pause and then we really started to think about things and started to reflect on our things and build certain habits or try to I re I realized that certain things or certain habits that I need to build or certain ways I need to discipline myself in order to get to where I want to be. And I think we kind of needed it because 2021, although it's still February, major chunk of it is going right, or I'm actually in a really happy place right now because of all the things I learned from 2020. So it kind of built a momentum from last year. So that's why I feel like 2021 is also very optimistic because of whatever we thought about or whatever we started doing last year.
Yeah, we're just very lucky to be here, and we're
Mm-hmm.
thankful to all the our parents and anyone involved in putting us in this position that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And many of you are there as well. So maybe 2021 we could start helping people and
Yeah.
finding a cause.
Mhm.
We
Mm-hmm.
could help people in need and start you know using our position of privilege to help out people who aren't so privileged. And I think that's
Yeah.
something I want to do in 2021, help other people out who aren't as lucky as I am.
Yeah.
And
So that's one of your
yeah,
2021 goals,
yeah,
2021 expectations.
not expectations,
Yeah, but
2021
goals, something you want to
goal.
work
Yeah.
towards. Yeah. All right.
So I hope you
I think
guys are having a good 2021 so far. I know 2020 was shit for all of us, and I hope 2021 is better for all of you again. And
Mm-hmm.
we hope to see you in our further episodes, which are
episodes.
upcoming.
Yeah. Do tell us what
Yeah.
you learned
We
in
have
2020 though, and what you're
yeah, like
expecting or what are your goals for 2021.
Mm.
we're there.
Yeah. So
I
the thing is,
think
there were a lot of
we talked.
suggestions that we
Yeah.
got. Yeah. Louis, can you yeah.
So there was one about mental health. There was about entrepreneurship, specifically Mizo entrepreneurship, modern relationships, gay rights. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I feel like we can talk about this more in other episodes. Like all these, we
Yeah.
had a lot of
These
suggestions, and
these are
we
the
we wanted these are valid, very valid, like suggestions,
very good suggestions.
and
Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
but if we want to
So
talk about these, you have to like dive deep a bit because they're very
Yeah.
big topics. And if you want to have a proper
Yeah.
picture of what we think or what others think or
Mm-hmm.
what the general topic is,
Yeah. And
we might dedicate episodes to it and have guests over to talk about
yeah.
these topics with us.
And just so that we can broaden the topic a bit and get a bit more perspective on it. So we think that it would be only better if we do those in like separate episodes. So stay tuned for that.
yeah.
Thank you so much for the suggestions, by the way.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you to all our listeners and all our followers. Thank you for all the people who sent suggestions. Thank you so much. And I think we'll be wrapping it up right now.
Wasn't this a
Like we
wrap
said
up?
before, that nope, you gotta say like and subscribe. You always end with it. Okay?
Like
Always
and
end with it.
subscribe.
Like
Yes.
and
Like,
subscribe
like and
and follow
subscribe.
us on Instagram.
Yes.
Like and subscribe.
And who's ever listening till now, you are amazing.
Thank you for
Like you
staying
listen
this
to
long.
Thank
the
you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.